Former Congressman Bob Barr from Georgia, now presidential candidate Bob Barr. Welcome back to the Young Turks.
That's right, and you need to stand and salute when you say that for
That's
Bob
right.
Barr, the presidential candidate. Just kidding, it's great to be with you.
So let me start with this. You're at your old haunting grounds, if you will, and what is the reaction you've been getting from former colleagues?
Very, very nice. We disagree on politics in terms of party and where the Republican Party is going, but we're still good friends. I've seen a lot of current members, former members that I worked with, Tom DeLay, J.C. Watts, J.D. Hayworth, folks that worked in our campaigns that are working in other Republican campaigns now, all still good friends. So we're getting very positive response.
You're still good friends with Tom DeLay?
Absolutely.
You didn't think that Tom DeLay was part of a culture that drove up spending for pork barrel projects and try to get Republicans elected throughout the country?
But he's a good
by
friend.
any means necessary.
He's a good friend.
But he did do that?
Oh, absolutely. That was part of the problem in Washington. Part of the reason why we've seen such a tremendous increase in government spending.
They used to call him Hot Tub Tom. Have you ever been in a hot tub with Tom DeLay?
No, never been in a hot tub with anybody other than my wife. At our house, we have a hot tub.
I don't suspect so. All right. So now let's talk about the issues. Where did the Republican Party go wrong here? What are you telling the folks, good folks here, as to which direction they should have gone and should go now?
Well, the Republican Party used to be a party that actually cared about individual liberty. I cannot imagine that the Republican Party of Barry Goldwater or Ronald Reagan would condone the spying without warrant on American citizens in their own country without any good reason that this current administration has done and pushed for and did regardless of whether or not the law was changed as it was recently. The Republican Party of years ago was a party that would have understood the importance not just to our civilization but to Western civilization of the great writ of habeas corpus, something that is completely denigrated, almost made fun of by the current administration. This is also an administration that calls itself Republican and calls itself conservative, yet spends like a drunken sailor over the years.
I want to get back to spending in a second, but someone who agrees with you on these issues is Ron Paul, congressman from Texas. But there have been press reports out that he's now negotiating with Senator McCain for his support. One, do you believe those reports? And two, have you been talking to Ron Paul? And then three, if Ron Paul is talking to John McCain, do you think that's a mistake on his part?
Ron Paul's a good friend. I stay in touch with him. I was over at his event yesterday, just across the way in Minneapolis. Spent a couple of hours over there shaking hands with folks, signing autographs, taking pictures, and so forth. Received a lot of support from Ron Paul supporters, and we've gotten an awful lot of Ron Paul supporters that are already working with us with meetup groups, involved in our campaign, donations, and so forth. Clearly, the Ron Paul supporters are not going to be inclined to vote for Senator Obama or Senator McCain. The only real home that they have is Bob Barr, and that's, I think, where they'll wind up. Certainly, most, if not all of them.
Would you be disappointed if Ron Paul endorsed John McCain?
I would be very, very surprised because Ron Paul has said very clearly, publicly and in private, that is not his intention, and he does not intend to do that.
And have you had conversations with him as far as getting his endorsement for your candidacy?
We have talked about what he is going to be doing as this campaign unfolds, as we get closer. He has made very clear to me, consistent with his public pronouncements, that it is not his intention to support or endorse anybody.
Okay. And we're talking to Congressman Bob Barr, who's, of course, running for president now, and actually doing rather well. And I was looking at some of the polls state by state and nationwide, and we've got, you are pulling in more than Ralph Nader did in 2000, and Ralph Nader was decisive in 2000. That is, those are tremendous numbers. One, what's happening there? Two, do you think you have a shot at any given state?
It's a little bit early to answer the last question. The answer, though, generally is yes. I think that we do have some shots at states, but it's too early. There are a number of states, according to polling by Zogby International, for example, that show us in double digits in some states. New Hampshire, for example, Nevada, for example, polling almost in double digits in my home state of Georgia, in states like Missouri, Ohio, for example, I think 8-9% in those states.
So, Congressman Barr, Democrats still, and a lot of people, other folks, have not forgiven Ralph Nader for what happened in 2000. If, in at least their opinion, you cost John McCain the presidency in 2008, do you think that they will hold that against you for the rest of your life?
Not my concern at all. It's very interesting that the Republican Party, at least a lot of folks in the Republican Party, 2 months out from the election are already worried about losing the election and looking for somebody to blame. It's not a terribly strong position from which to enter the fall campaign.
But do you agree that you pull more voters away from McCain than you do from Obama?
I don't agree that we pull voters specifically from Obama or McCain. We pull voters away from the Republican side of the aisle that would not be voting for Senator McCain. Libertarian-leaning Republicans, for example, the same as blue-collar Democrats.
All right, we're out of time, but I do believe the libertarian-leaning Republicans are probably the future of the Republican Party later, if the Libertarian Party doesn't, in fact, capture them.
And especially the young people.
There you have it. Congressman Bob Barr, thank you so much for joining us on the Young Turks.
My pleasure, as always, to be with you all.
We'll be right back.